Right, I've had a lot of people request me to do a tutorial on a video that I did. This is the one in question, where all the letters fly towards the screen, rotate and then get sucked back. Obviously this is the remake I did. I did an older one, and I think that's probably the one that most people have seen. So we should go into After Effects. Now I've just got that there at the minute. We'll show you how we created that. We go New Composition, and you want to make it a width and a height of 150, and you want to have it at 1 second and 1 frame long. So then we click OK, because in this composition we're going to be actually creating our letters. So now we go up to the text tool and we click that button. Now I'm currently using Timeless Regular, so I'll be clicking our composition and we put in our first letter. Now we go back to our little selection tool. Now what we need to do is we go back down here to choose grid and guide, and we click title safe. That way it brings up a box and we can adjust our letters more easily into the center. So we center up our letter A. As you can see, we've got it centered. Now I'm using a PC, so I need to make that 1 frame long, so I do that by holding Alt and close bracket. We've now made it 1 frame long. We now need to duplicate that layer. We have 2 ways of doing it. We can do it with a Control D to duplicate, or you can go up to Edit, Duplicate Layer. And what we do is our duplicate layer is we move it to the end of that frame, move our little bar up, double click and change that letter now to a B. Again, you more than likely will need to center the letter back up. Repeat that process again. This time we'll do it Edit, Duplicate, take that layer, move that layer along, move our timeline bar along, double click, change that to C. Go back to our selection tool, center our letter up, duplicate that layer, move along, move our bar, double click, change to D, selection tool, center it, and you've got to keep doing that all the way up until Z. Now I've already done that, so I shall skip to there. Now when you've done that, as you see, you'll have all the letters of the alphabet all 1 frame long, like that. Now we need to colorize our letters, so we go Layer, New, and we're going to make an adjustment layer. Now to this layer we're going to put in many effects. First of all, we're going to create a ramp, so we go Effect, Generate, scroll down to Ramp, select Ramp. Now on the top colour where it's black, we single click and we change it to a grey. We click OK. Now we'll just scroll out to such. As you can see, your end points at the top and the bottom. What we need to do is we need to take the top one and drag it down so it's on the top of the letter, and we take our bottom one and we bring that one up so it's at the bottom of our letter. So now we're currently looking like that. Now we move on to our next effect. We can close that one up. This time we're going to go Effect, Colour Correction, and we're going to choose Colorama. And obviously if that's the colour you're after, you're more than welcome to use that one. But I'm going to go to click on the output cycle where it says used palette, preset palette. I'm going to change that from none to golden 1, and that gives us a goldish colour. You can now close that one up. Now move on to our next effect. We go effect, perspective, bevel alpha, and we click that one. Now you can see we've got a bit of a 3D effect going on. We shall close that one up. Now another effect, we're going to go effect, colour correction, and go to tint. I'll click on that one. As you can see, that takes us like a mad colour. So from there now we're going to go effect, colour correction, and we're going to go hue and saturation. So we click on that one. This time we need to click on our colorize button. So we click colorize, and now we can change the colour to whatever colour we want. It's totally up to yourselves, so you can all mess about and create your own colours. And then our final effect we're going to apply is a glow. So we're going to go effect, stylize, glow, and as you can see now we've got a glow going round, and obviously that applies to all layers below it. Now we need to create a new composition, so we go composition, new composition. You can change it to anything you like, so I'll just change it to main comp. We go from custom, and we're going to select HDTV 1080 by 25. We're going to change the time to 20 seconds. So that means our composition is going to be 20 seconds long, and then click OK. Now into this composition we're going to bring our letter particles in. That's what we've just done before, which is all our letters like that. And we just click on the I button to hide them because we don't need to see them. Then we're going to create a new layer, so we're going to go layer, new, solid. Again, doesn't matter on the colour for these, and I'm going to change this one to large particles. Click OK. Now to this one we're going to apply trap code particular, so we go effect, trap code, particular. Now currently at the minute obviously it's just throwing its own particles out. Now we need to adjust them to suit our needs. First off, what we're going to do, we're going to slide the layer to the 1 second point. That way there's a 1 second break and then the particles will appear. Now we need to go into particular itself and make our adjustments that we need. First of all, we're going to go to the emitter and click on emitter. Our first change is the Z position, and we want to change that to 5000. We change that to 5000. Our next one, we want to change the direction from uniform to directional. We now want to change Y rotation, and we want to change that to 180. Next we want to change our velocity, so we're going to change our velocity to 3500, and if you can see currently at the minute scroll out. We'll take that off as well. We have particles going like that currently at the minute. We still need to change more. The rest we can keep the same, so we can close the emitter section up. Now we're going to go into the particles. We're going to change the life from 3 seconds to 15 seconds. We need to change the particle type from sphere to textured polygon. Now we need to go to texture, click on the little tab, and where we've got layer none, we need to change that to our letters. So whatever your one is called, it will come up, where mine's called letter particles. So I'll click on letter particles. Now the time sampling, we need to change that from current time to a random still frame, and we'll lock that. Now obviously at the minute you can't even make out that them are letters unless you're going to be scrolling, so but those are our letter particles flying about. Now we need to go into our rotation, so we click our rotation tab, and we need to make a couple of changes in here. We're going to change X to 30. We're going to change Y to 60, and we're going to change Z to 25, and we're going to have a random rotation of 0.5. Now we don't need to change any more there, so we can up them. Now we move on to the next part. We go size, and we're going to increase the size to 100. And as you can see now, we have our letters on screen. We're going to go our size random, and we're going to change that to 20. Now we move on again. Excuse me. We need to go to opacity over life, and it brings up our options that we have here for our opacity. Obviously that will just be whole. You'll see them all from start to finish, which is not what we're after. So we're going to click on the second preset, and you should end up looking like that. And we're going to adjust that slightly by making that area bigger, like that. Now we need to make some more changes. In fact, I've skipped out the stage there. We need size over life, but what we can do, we can copy that one and paste, so we end up with them both the same. Right, that's them done. Now we move down to physics, and we go to the tab marked air, and we click on air. Now we're going to change air resistance to 1. We're going to tick the rotational box. We're going to change the wind Z to minus 3,500. We're going to change the turbulent field. I'm scrolling that one down. And we're going to change a couple little parameters in here. We're going to change the scale from 10 to 0.5. We're going to knock the complexity down to 1, and we're going to change, there's one more we need to change. Speed evolution. We're going to change that from 50 to 1. So now currently we have particles just being thrown at the screen like that. So that is most of that all set up. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to apply the keyframes. So first off we're going to take the layer, select the layer and press T to reveal the opacity. We're going to go to the start of the layer, which is there. Click the stopwatch to make a keyframe and reduce that down to 0. We're then going to move forward 10 frames and we're going to bring that up to 100. And they're going to slide our timeline all the way to 9 seconds, and we're going to click our little one here to produce another keyframe, and then we're going to go to 10 seconds and 14 frames like that, and we're going to once again reduce it down to 0. So obviously we have particles fading in and then fading out. Now we need to animate our particles, so we move to 7 seconds on our timeline at the 7-second mark. We're going to go all the way up to our emitter, and we're going to click on the tab for particles second. I'm going to hit that, and that will bring up a keyframe, and we're going to move forward 10 frames and reduce that from 100 to 0. Now if you select your layer, press U, you can see the keyframe that we've just made. So it's producing particles, it no longer produces particles. We've got there. Now we're going to keyframe our velocity, so we're going to go to 4 seconds. This time we're going to hit our velocity tab, so we make a keyframe for that one. We're going to go to 5 seconds, which is there, and we're going to reduce that down to 0. So again we can see those keyframes that we've made. Now we need to animate our wind. So on the 5 second mark we make a keyframe, we go to 7 seconds and reduce that to 0. We move to 8 seconds and 14 frames like that. Let's just press U to bring up all our keyframes again, and on our wind one we're going to make another keyframe, and then we're going to scrub forward to 9 seconds and 14 frames. There will do, and we're going to increase that to 10,000, so 10,000. Now what we need to do is make the last 3 frames, the last 3 keyframes on that layer easy ease, so you highlight them all so they're highlighted, right click, keyframe assistant, easy ease, So now if we scan forward, you can see that they turn, and now they start going back. And what we're going to add now is a little bit of a rotation in them. So what we need to do now is go to our turbulent field, and on the 7-second mark, so we go to 7 seconds, we want to affect position. So we hit a key, our time stopwatch to create a keyframe. We then move forward to 9 seconds, and we change that to 800. So what that does is that gives the turn, and then they all start going back. They disappear. Now that's the first part done. Now what we need to do is duplicate that layer. So again we can go Control D, and I'm going to change that layer name by pressing enter on the line. I'm going to highlight large and change that to medium particles. There's my piece. Now on this one we've got to make a few changes. We need to change, let's just get off the actual layer, that way we're not making any keyframe changes. This one we need to change to particles a second to 300. We need to change the spread, the direction speed to 25. We're going to come down to the size, and we're going to change that to 35. We're going to change the size random to 40. And then we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom to world transform, and we're going to change the Z rotation to -45. So now when we come into our frame, as you can see, we have small layers. Then we're going to duplicate that layer again, and this is going to be our smaller ones. So now we're going to change the particles per second to 1500. We're going to change our size from 35 to 10, our random size to 20, and one more change. We're going to change our Z rotation to 90. So now we have all the letters on the screen flying towards us. They all rotate. And go back. Now to finish the actual effect off, it does drain the PC a lot, your computer. You hit enable motion blur, and you need to enable it for your 3 layers of particles As you can see, it's calculating them all, and I'm on a triple core. And then you'd render that out. That's a squeak in my chair. And that's how you get all the particles coming up like that. So now you all know how it's done, and then once you've rendered it, on its own, they look like that. There's a twist. And then they all get sucked back in. Now obviously on my final version, which you all saw, in the middle I created an optical flare and just put an optical flare in the centre. Obviously put a background on, had the optical flare flicking to create that effect, and then had it brighter, and also just put the logo on and had the rest disappear. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the tutorial. Please feel free to do it yourselves, and if you want to, you can post it as a video response to this video. Thank you all for watching. Bye for now.